after show, after show, after show. Okay, so first things first. Before we get into the pressing stuff, you gave me permission to play the intro to this podcast because you didn't know you were being recorded, but I had asked you something funny, and I want to just insert that here. What is the silliest argument that you've gotten into with your kids, but it was like legit is an argument, like they were mad, but it was about something so silly? Can you think of anything? Like I argue with my parents about like wanting a Pokemon booster pack, like getting angry at them. Like I'm like, we had a freaking long conversation. We were fighting. We were crying. I want Charizard, you know?
Yeah, I have plenty of those. My kids wanting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had them delete an app called Wish.
The one where it's all cheap shit.
Yeah, like I accidentally like put my credit card info in once, and then I went to the mailbox, and I saw charges on my app, and I literally just picked up 2 more items. And let me tell you,
what was it?
Let me tell you, I don't know what they are. They're in packages. I haven't even opened them yet. I just picked them up today.
Oh, you got them?
But I canceled Wish like 3 weeks ago. Okay, and for like 3 weeks, I still have things coming in, and I went to my box like a week ago. And there must have been like 12 items still residually coming in.
Oh my God, they bought that many things? Yes. They're like, that's fine with this.
I was like, are you guys out of your mind? That was a conversation right there. What the hell? I mean, you were deleting it.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
And there was no way, like, I don't know. Man, I was frustrated with that.
Dude, that's so funny. I'm going to include this in the after show if that's okay.
And then there's like,
then we go
to conventions. When there are conventions, conventions, everything's an overload of like sensory for them. Everything's like a toy. And it's like $20 for anything, $25 for like something this big that's they've never even heard of, but they want it.
Sure, man. Because conventions, man, they get you. They make you want
it. Yeah.
Put it on the end. Show the money beats. That was hilarious. I freaking love that. Thanks for letting me use that in the after show. Shout out to Brennan and Olivia.
I love you guys.
Okay, so let's move into pressing comic books. I've had some mistakes because when you learn to press, you don't have a school you can go to. And really, back when I started pressing years ago, there weren't many YouTube videos that gave good explanation on what to do. There's a lot of like 480p videos that are like super grainy, and people are like, oh yeah, this actually really helped. But because the video quality is so bad, you can't even really see that they probably actually made more problems for their comic than better. But pressing comic books, it is a double-edged sword. It's not as sharp as removing stickers as far as that double-edged sword is, but it is an art. Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, art, science, the
alchemy.
Part alchemy, equal exchange, like in Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes.
I mean, just to achieve what you need to achieve for a book to go up in grade, in some manners can be very easy and rudimentary, but in others are very extreme and difficult. And on the way to achieving that, you can F up a book to the nth degree before you even know it. Then there's no going back.
No.
Sometimes there's no going back.
Sometimes. I mean, the mark of a true professional is being able to fix your mistakes. A carpenter told me that at one point.
And that's absolutely relative.
But you know what? The best professional in this game doesn't make those mistakes. And actually, I think that's actually a good tip. Let's give a tip right now about comic book repairing, restoration, / like just pressing and cleaning and things like that. Don't go overboard. Always do a little less than you were planning on doing, because you can always do more. But if you go too far, you remove that ink, you remove that color, you clean too difficult, you scrub too hard, you press too long, the temperature is too high. You can't always go back.
Use too much moisture.
Oh my gosh, moisture problems. Okay, so let's get into it. Tell me a story you're willing to share on the mic of you pressing a comic book and it just getting just so screwed up that you were disappointed in yourself. I'm not talking to like, this is a $50 book and now it's a VF, and when I put it on here it was a VF, so oh well. I'm talking like your gut turn and you're like, damn it. Like maybe even an audible damn it I'm looking for. Like it ruined your night. I want to hear it ruin your night.
No. I tend to play with books a little higher than I should at times, and because I either am in a hurry or a rush, and that's another big error. Don't be in a hurry.
Never.
Okay.
Remember when you were trying to get me to remove that sticker? You're like, do it here. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I could do it here. But no, I need because you never know. It'll take sometimes 30 seconds or it takes 3 days because you have to stop because you're going to drive yourself crazy because it just won't come off. It's how it is with pressing sometimes. You need to give yourself the time you need to get the job done. Don't rush yourself.
Yeah, because you're not always going to get it right on the first press, and sometimes requires more than one pressing. But outside of that, books I've messed up. I messed up Avengers 4 twice.
Okay, give me the story. What happened?
I used too much water.
Is it the same book or a different Avengers 4?
There were two different Avengers 4.
Oh, geez. So do you have okay, first off, I want to hear the stories. But second off, I also want to know, do you have a gripe against Avengers 4s now?
I don't, but I'm more cautious with Avengers 4s now.
And other Silver Age books. There's no difference, but you treat it as if the pages of an Avengers 4 are different.
Yeah, because
Cap isn't as frozen in this issue.
Well, twice it seems that I added too much moisture twice.
Really?
So I was like, what is going on with this book over the others? And yet I added it's like the paper stretched.
Okay.
So it was almost kind of ripply in one area. And then you have to bring it back kind of if you can. So I did the best I could. And then I sent it off to somebody else who I don't think they did any better. So, but it was already a nice book. And I told myself, there was one time I put it in my press and I didn't align it right. So I pressed a hard line into it.
Oh, no, you're going into my story. That's what I was going to talk about.
So then I tried to take that out with a little more moisture at times. And then I think I removed the line. It eventually went away.
Okay.
But then I had the ripple.
You had the ripple. So you screwed it up, fixed the screw up, but added another screw up.
Right.
Which made it even worse.
So I just I went crazy because I put that line. And then I got rid of the line, and then I added something else, and then I was double effing upset about it. I was like, God, I can't win with this book.
And how much time? Okay, here's another thing. Pressing takes time. So you're doing all of this, and when you see the mistake, you realize, all that time and care that I just put into trying to make this happen was wasted, and I'm worse off than when I started.
Yes. And sometimes I put a book away because I can't look at it anymore or deal with it. And I was like, I will revisit you when I am ready. It's like a breakup, okay? I will see you again when I'm ready, okay? It's forget it.
So funny, but it's true though, man. It's really true. All right.
My biggest mess ups.
Go ahead.
No, actually, go ahead. I'll say that first.
Right.
Get into yours.
All right. Okay. So my biggest mess up. So same thing. I was doing a press job for somebody. All right. This was a $1,000 or so book. I don't like pressing things for other people. I press and clean things for members of the show, and that's pretty much it. And I get asked all the time to do it. I used to do it for payment. I used to even offer it to the community until people started getting really serious. And they're like, all right, I'm going to send you 30 things. And I was excited about being able to do it. But then the thought of having 30 things to press that I would be responsible for, no, it's just not something I can commit to. So I was doing this for a friend. It was a $1,000 book, and I pressed it just a little too long. It was a modern book, and dude, I caused some of the worst rippling I've ever seen on a modern book. It was it wasn't just rippling. It was I took out the moisture so much that I caused little hole pockets all over the cover. It wasn't my book. The book was going to be sold. There was a buyer lined up and I had to fix it. So what I did is I reached out to Just Pele, the homie from our comment section, because this guy, he showed me pictures of stuff he's pressed. And he has all these different tools and recommendations. It's part of pressing is it's not just cleaning and pressing comics. It's not just how do you clean and press a comic? It's not an answer for every single one. It's how do you remove a sticker? Well, there's 100 different stickers that all have different types of glue and they're from different eras and there's different paper. Every single problem is unique. And when it comes to pressing, as you said, a little too much moisture, you're screwed. A little too much heat, you're screwed. A little too much time, you're screwed. Not enough time, you're screwed. Not enough time on the cold press. Keeping it chilled and reverting it back to its normal heat. Not enough time there will have that page warp. There's so many things that can go wrong. And he has all of these different tools for those occurrences if they go wrong or if you're dealing with a current problem, like random stuff that you get from Staples to like random Amazon purchases because this guy's like, all right, I have one comic that's worth so much money. I'm trying to get out this particular bend or crease or whatever this particular problem is. And this tool looks like it could help. And it's like a attachment to this random like thing you can get at Home Depot. And that rubbing on the paper in this particular way will remove that type of dent. Anyways, that's this kind of artist. I'll call him an artist because it is when you're fixing books like that. And he recommended me use printer paper and a level of moisture that I wasn't actually comfortable with, but he promised I would be happy with the response. He told me the temperature. He told me the gauge of like how much pressure I should, like he's like, all right, let's look at the whole thing. Put me on video. And he like walked me through it. And dude, I saved the comic 9.8 all day. It was crazy. But it went from like a 7.0. It went from a 9.8, a 9.6 to a 7.0, right back to a 9.8. And the book was graded, and the book came back a 9.8.
That is crazy.
It was crazy. And dude, it was like 2 hours of stress because it's like, I'm going to buy this. And you know he's going to give me a good deal, but I'm going to buy this, and it's going to suck because I'm going to have this just difficult comic to move and close to $1,000 wasted because I take a sense of responsibility. And when I make a mistake that's so like, it just shouldn't have happened. I should have been more patient. I should have been a little bit more confident. But yeah, it happened. But I fixed it and it was fine. But that doesn't happen often. That almost never happens. And most of the time, it's something like, I think my biggest frustration with pressing comics is when you don't go through every single page as closely as you should. And you make a folded page, a hard crease, or, oh, there was a speck of dust. And now everything is perfect on the damn comic. Everything, except it looks like there's a little dot imprint because you just pressed a tiny rock or a little thing of food or a little thing of Play-Doh or something, just like some little grime into every single page of the comic book.
And it sneaks in so easily, that stuff.
Man. And then you think, like, was it on there before?
Right.
You know, like, I don't even know. I don't even know. Oh, it's so bad. All right, what were you going to say? You said you had a bad one.
I was going to say my biggest mistakes usually are from dry cleaning in the beginning, especially.
Okay.
Erasing too fast or too hard or not in the right direction, and just putting a tear, ripping a piece off.
You always got to go away from the pages. You pull the pages to you. You will rip them. You will warp them. You'll do something you don't want to do.
And that's something you do slowly.
Yep.
And let it just build. And
it's rough.
Yeah. I mean, just like, and then, and you're like, and there's no going back from that.
Yeah. You're like, I just spent like 20 minutes on this.
Yeah.
And I just made it worse.
You did a great job. And then that last stroke or the second to last stroke you did was just enough to just like, whoop, there it goes.
What did you say?
There
like,
goes the upgrade.
You had something really funny that you mentioned. You're like, it's just an extra bad feeling because you think about not just your own comic you ruined or potentially someone else's if you're doing it for someone else. But you also think about the comic's history.
Yes.
And how, like, what did you say?
I always say that because it's like, this book survived 70 years, 60 years before it met me to mess it up. Like, it was already nice. I want to bump it nicer. And then I screwed it up.
Right after 60 years.
I was
70 years.
the big jerk idiot who ruined this 60-year-old comic, 70-year-old comic, you know? And I take that. I look at it, I'm just like, I did that.
Yeah, I did that. You'll never forget that you did that.
No. Oh, God, it's the worst. That's my biggest mistakes have been in dry cleaning for the most part, where I just add a tear, and so I'm way better about that now. And then occasionally, I mean, stuff's going to happen. You never know with the paper because sometimes you might pop a staple. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do.
Yeah, sometimes like just the handling, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and wearing gloves too for a lot of people can mess up a book.
Yeah, it's not as slick, and then you pull the page.
Right. So, a lot of people will give people grief because they're not using gloves to handle a book, but you'll mess up a book real quick with a glove too if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, a lot of people wear rubber gloves, and the trick is you want to wear cloth gloves a lot of the time. Because they're trying to prevent fingerprints, which also will damage a book. But a lot of the times for me, it's been carelessness. It's been it's moving too fast. Again, we deal with a lot of quantity. So even though we're really careful and we are collectors and we pay attention to this stuff, probably more than most individuals, still the odds are not in our favor with how many pass through our hands. And it, as you mentioned on the show, it takes a fight breaking out for you to get distracted. Or, hey, I'll put this down and I'm not really thinking anything of it. And then, and this is a true story. Oh, I put it down and my cat got in the room. And then, oh, you're walking on my bagged and boarded, mind you. So it's at least I did that right. First print crow number 1. And then, oh, there's a little poke. It's a little poke right on the cover, like a literal poke. Like there's nothing you can do. It broke color. It's almost to the other side from the claw because my cat walked on my crow first print. And like high grade, like 9.6, 9.8, like potential. It was beautiful. I pressed it. It was out, and I thought everything was fine. And then I look over, I'm like, oh no, God, crap. And the cat doesn't know. The cat doesn't know, dude. It's not the cat's fault.
That's why you tell him. You like, look what you did, cat.
Look what you did. Do you understand? You got to just talk to him sternly.
A cat will always beat a crow, so you're all right, man.
He will. I know, right? It's like he's just after the crow, man. It's all about the crows. All right.
Modern books too, you got to be careful because that was one of my learning curves on a modern book is the ink difference on the pages interior. One of the books that taught me that lesson was the first Hellboy and X-Men 21. So much black, so much ink on the interior of that I pressed it and didn't think about it enough.
Press it too
hot.
And
it basically became one block of a book.
Yeah, modern books are...
Those inks bled together.
Yeah, it's interesting because the page quality is really good, but you are more likely to almost melt them together and it turns into like cardboard. Silver Age comics, you could get away with like at a low temperature, 120, 130, 135 even for most of these books. And again, each book it depends on the book, but
I go hotter than that for Silver Age books.
Yeah, you could go hotter than that for sure, but you could leave them on the press for like a day. Some people literally leave their stuff on a press for hours and hours and hours. Modern books, if you're doing it right, it's like 5-6 minutes on each side, maybe.
And if you're doing Silver Age books too, it shouldn't take much longer than that either. Mm-hmm. If you're doing it right, the right temperature and moisture levels and all that. And again, I'm not here to give you direction on how to do that, but I'm telling you, like, once you go through the experience and learning curve of it, you'll find your groove, what works for you with your machine.
You'll find success for sure.
Yeah, and then you'll get reckless and you'll mess up, but that's okay because
it's part of it.
Big picture is part of learning. You'll take some gambles and they'll either pay off or they won't.
You know who does really good pressing? There's 2 gentlemen that I can think of. The Comic Book Villain on Instagram. He does a lot of pressing, and I don't think he does a lot of demonstrations, but he does do affordable like auctions, and he shows off pressing. But someone you can follow is Reggie Collects. He actually does tutorials on pressing and his thoughts on it and how he does it. He's very open about it. And what's cool with pressing is that, you can get some really high quality presses, but you also can get like what most people do, which is like a t-shirt press. And if you get the right one, one that'll work, which most of them will, you can, as long as it has like a adjustable pressure and it doesn't like time out after 4 minutes. Like some of these have a timer and stuff. So you have to just like get the right one, but Google it, check out Reggie over on YouTube. Reggie Collects. He's a writer on the ComicTom101 blog. He does a lot of cool articles there, but he also goes through some pressing advice. And I'm sure if you Google, there's a lot of ways for you to get info on pressing. But again, it's kind of an art form. It takes practice. There's no like real like clear step by step. This is what you do. Really, it's going to take trial and error and you just going through. For me, when I started pressing, Russ was like, oh, you're getting really into this? Okay, here you go. And he gave me a long box of 300 Silver Age comics, all with different water problems. All like every other comic was like, this is waterlogged. This is stained. This needs moisture. This doesn't need moisture. Like they were all different. This is mangled. This one doesn't. And I literally would like practice, okay, fanning out all the pages, going through and cleaning and trying to make something out of these comics that were largely ruined. And that's how I got to the point where I felt more confident. And I still make mistakes. So, it's what it is. Thanks, Comic Fam. I do appreciate you being here today. Do us a favor. You guys have been killing it with the reviews over on Instagram. And I just do us a sign. Sorry, Jeff, what are you looking at?
I'm just trying to make sure we covered everything.
We covered everything, man. Jeff's looking at the screen. I'm like, what am I missing? No, this is the only topic. But no, I want to give a big thank you to the community for rating us over on iTunes. It's really the only platform that we have ratings from what I can tell from the different podcast portions of the show. But if you would be so kind, if you are listening to us on iTunes, please click that 5-star rating. There's not a whole lot of them, so it would do us a huge solid if you gave us a great rating there. And please just have a great weekend. And Jeff, please keep hitting the mic. Do that for me, because the community loves it in their headphones. No, no, you're hurting their ears now.
Oh, sorry,
it's
guys.
no good. You should tell the comic fan how much you appreciate them for listening to you pop the mic.
I apologize for flicking your eardrums, guys. My bad. But again, thank you for listening, guys. Staying a little later. Hope you love the show. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Oh, and come say hi on Instagram. ComicTom101.
Yeah, and Golden Age Guru.
Yeah, tag us in some fun stuff. We'd like to chat with you. All right. Have a good weekend.